everybody, this is Mr. Morfetto, and today I want to talk about my favorite group fight in the entire Dragon Ball series. See, we just got done in the anime in 2018 with the Tournament of Power, which you can consider a group fight. It had everybody in one big battle royale, but one of the first group fights or battle royale style elimination style fights is Nappa and the Cybermen versus the Z Fighters. So I want to include the Cybermen because they are kind of like part of Nappa's move set in a lot of ways. In the Dragon Ball Fighters, he can summon the Cybermen, and this is the last time we ever see the Cybermen, so they are kind of a team. They're teammates for Nappa. They're an extension of Nappa in this fight because it's a good way to kick off, warm up for this big fight. I really enjoyed this fight. I recently went back and watched it, and I was listening to Team 4-Star talk about this fight because they chose Raccoon versus Vegeta, Krillin, and Gohan over this fight to put in their best fights of the entire series countdown. And in my opinion, I think that was wrong because I think this Nappa fight versus the Z Fighters trying to buy time for Goku to show up was better. I think this was a better group fight. I think this is the best group fight in the entire series, and it's nice because it doesn't include Goku or Vegeta in this fight. Really, they're buying time for Goku, and this is kind of the beginning of the "let's buy time for Goku" trope that the entire series is based off of, except for the Cell fight, really. So Ten Shinhan has a one-on-one fight with one of the Cybermen, and it's great. It really puts him over as one of the strongest fighters there. I mean, Ten Shinhan was at like 1850 power level, and he takes out a Cyberman pretty quickly. I think it would have been smart for them to take their time with these Cybermen fights, though, strategically wise. Because they kind of built it up like, okay, Tien's going to beat one, and we're just going to go down the list, and every member of the good guys are going to beat one of these Cybermen and show off what they've learned over this 1 year of training for the Saiyans. But yeah, this fight is great. It's such a good way to build up how powerful Nappa is, and in building up how powerful Nappa was, you knew that Vegeta was probably twice as strong as him. Since he took orders from him so well. So, Ten Shinhan beats a Cyberman. We have Krillin say that he wants to fight the next one, but Yamcha says, no, I'll fight the next one, because if you die, you can't come back with the Dragon Balls. Which I love that during this fight, also, the stakes were much higher than future Dragon Ball fights, because the Dragon Balls still had the rule, there was only one set of Dragon Balls, and if you died once, you could never come back again with them. I loved that, because at least there was some sort of stakes. Some fighters, Chaozu and Krillin in particular, if they died, they couldn't come back, because they had died previously in the King Piccolo arc. Which was probably the only other arc that had so much death in it, next to this one, so far in the series. So Yamcha jumps into the fight and takes on a Cyberman, and it almost looks like we're going to get a repeat of Ten Shinhan versus the Cyberman, and Yamcha kicks his ass. But this time, the Cyberman suicide bombs Yamcha and kills Yamcha immediately. And when I was a kid, I remember watching this arc, because I know the Saiyan arc was the first arc I watched as a kid. And I was like, when Yamcha got killed in this fight, I knew this was the series I wanted to keep going with. And I love when deaths matter, and I feel like at this point in the series, even though Yamcha could come back, and Master Roshi reminds Bulma about this, but it meant something. And you can see, you get Krillin pissed off at the Saiyans and the Cybermen, and he wants to fight all of the remaining Cybermen after that, which was a poor strategic decision, because they should have just continued the one-on-one fights, and now they knew not to let them blow them up or get a hold of them like that. Don't turn your back on them like Yamcha did. So they probably could have stretched this out one fight at a time to give Goku more time to get there. But I understand Krillin just lost one of his best friends, one of his training partners in Yamcha, someone he's known for a very long time. And we get to see Krillin in this pissed off, but not only pissed off, but focused and confident that he can beat these following, I believe, 4 remaining Cybermen, which is awesome. You don't get to see Krillin at a confident level much after this. After this, he's usually scared of his own shadow. But in this fight, in this moment, he felt like he could take out the remaining 4 Cybermen, so the rest of the team can conserve their ki to fight Nappa and Vegeta. So Krillin goes in and shoots a scatter shot like Kamehameha, or just a scatter shot attack, shooting these blasts in the air, and they come down onto each Cyberman except for one, who gets away. And one large attack he sends at Vegeta and Nappa, which is great, because he's trying to do all he can with this one attack, which I'm assuming Krillin put everything into, because he thought, okay, if I'm going to put everything I have against the Cybermen, I might as well attempt that. So Krillin is capable, with this anger rage boost, to kill 3 Cybermen and also attack Vegeta and Nappa. It was a great moment. And then the remaining Cyberman that hid from the attack jumps out and tries to kill Gohan, but Piccolo jumps in and kills the Cyberman instantly with like a mouth-like blast. Love it. I love every moment of this. This whole fight, this is just the beginning of this fight. They just beat the Cybermen. Piccolo, who is just recently in the process of turning babyface in this fight. So also, these fighters were all mortal enemies with Piccolo, or at least King Piccolo, and they didn't know if they could even trust Piccolo in this fight. It's great. You have enemies working together. All these guys were villains at one time, except for Gohan and Krillin, and they became good guys because of Goku, and now they're all fighting to save the planet and give Goku time to get there. It's fantastic. It is fantastic, and there's also stakes on the line. If Krillin or Chaozu die, they're dead forever before they find out about Planet Namek and their Dragon Balls. So this whole fight is fantastic, and the tension is here. Krillin couldn't even scratch them. So then we get to the main course of this group fight against Nappa at this point, and it's fantastic. Nappa charges at Krillin. I think he randomly picks Krillin and charges at him, but Piccolo jumps in the way. The whole team at this point, the whole team is trying to fight Nappa. And Nappa wants to fight them all, and Vegeta's just watching. It's great. They are putting Nappa over fantastically. This is something you see in professional wrestling when they're trying to get over a giant character, a new heel in the series. We just met Nappa, and he is fighting all of them. But what I love is the team. They aren't completely overwhelmed. They are losing, and they are getting completely stomped by Nappa, but if the show makes you feel, and in the manga, it makes you feel like if they just make the right strategic moves, or they hit the right attacks at the right time, they could still beat Nappa. It doesn't look like Vegeta's jumping in. Piccolo and Krillin in the anime split up into a multi-form technique and fight him, and they're able to hold him off. And I know Gohan is no help here. I feel like if Gohan was confident enough to fight, and they could have possibly beaten Nappa as a team. And I like that they even have Ten Shinhan and Nappa go against each other for a minute, and it almost feels like Ten Shinhan is able to keep up with him. And then, right when you think that Tien might be able to hold him off for Piccolo and Krillin to hit him with a big attack, he charges up and he punches Tien Shinhan's arm, and he severs his arm off with like a karate chop or a punch, from what I remember, and it falls off. And I remember when I first watched it, I think it was the Ocean dub. Ten Shinhan, this is just a fun fact. Ten Shinhan's like, "You're gonna regret that when it grows back," or something. Definitely an error in the Ocean dub, because I don't believe Tien can regrow his limbs, even with a senzu bean. Because if that was true, then future Gohan would have grew his arm when or something. I'm not sure, actually. Can you regrow limbs with senzu beans? Please comment, let me know. So Tien loses his arm. Shit's going nuts. It's crazy. Someone just lost his arm, got his arm cut off. You don't see that enough in the future series, except for Piccolo, who can regrow his arms almost instantly, and it's almost overdone. But this time, Ten Shinhan, a human, the third strongest babyface, just got his arm severed. Yamcha's dead. Then Nappa proceeds to blow a hole in the ground, and I remember in one of the dubs, Piccolo was like, the hole is bottomless. And so there's this bottomless hole. Everyone thinks Chaozu's just been killed, but behold, Chaozu has jumped on the back of Nappa, and I'm assuming he got this idea from watching the Cybermen. Chaozu has decided to blow himself up, because he realizes, I'm assuming after Ten Shinhan can't handle it, he realizes if he wants his friend Tien to survive this fight, he needs to self-destruct to kill Nappa. And Nappa starts launching his body into a bunch of rocks to try and get him off of him. But, I mean, really, that must have done more damage to Nappa at this point. But, so you think he explodes, and you think, oh man, Chaozu just took Nappa with him. And that would have been great. And then Vegeta could have fought the rest of the group. That would have been fine too. But Nappa survives. And I believe his armor is barely damaged. I think that would have been a good time for his... I think later he takes the rest of his armor off, because it's pretty much destroyed. I think they should have let Chaozu's explosion remove Nappa's armor. So now Chaozu's dead. Tien's freaking out. He's got one arm. Piccolo and Krillin are the only two that are putting any damage on Nappa at this point. But the author still makes you feel like they have a chance if they just get the right moves in. And they even try to set up some type of an attack with Gohan, tandem move. And it's not enough, because Gohan gets scared and runs away. But who knows? Would that have been enough? I mean, if Chaozu's explosion was enough, do you really think that Gohan's attack, without being raged out, would be enough to take Nappa out? Or were they just trying to get some damage in? I don't know. But I know at some point after this, Tien decides to do a last final Kikoho, one-handed Kikoho, which we didn't even know was possible, which probably isn't good for you, because I know the Kikoho or Tri-Beam has a setback that every time you use it, you lose life, and you could die if you use it. Probably if you use it at full power like he does here. This is when Tien uses the Kikoho in the 22nd tournament for the first time to destroy the ring. In the tournament, they state that if he uses this, you could die, or you lose life force. So in a lot of ways, he can put his life force, not just his ki, or his power, into his attack. And so he does a one-handed Kikoho with all his remaining life force. When I was a kid, I didn't understand why he died at first viewing. I wasn't sure. I think I might have been confused that Nappa killed him, but he died from... He didn't get killed by Nappa here. He sacrificed himself. He knew he wasn't going to survive this attack. He hits the Kikoho, and Nappa takes it full on. And he still isn't enough to hurt Nappa, but you can tell he's getting damaged. He definitely took some damage from that attack. He brushes it off, but you can, from the way he's drawn, you can tell that was a lot. I mean, that Kikoho had to be, I mean, from when he does it to Cell, that Kikoho had to be more powerful than Nappa's 4,500, 4,000 power level. But since he blocked, he was able to survive. He definitely took some major damage there. But Nappa's a tank, and they keep putting him over. And now he's fighting Krillin and Piccolo, and Gohan isn't brave enough to fight. And this whole fight, Gohan isn't willing to do nothing. But this whole fight is great. It puts every character over. We get to the conclusion. Vegeta gives them some time to wait for Goku, but Goku's still not there. Oh, what a motherfucker. He's still not there. We get to the last strategy they have. Piccolo and Krillin and Gohan go to fight Nappa. Piccolo grabs Nappa's tail because that's what they did with Raditz. I can't believe it took them this long to try to grab Nappa's tail. It makes so much sense, too, because that's what they did with Raditz. Do the tail, paralyzation, and it turns out that they are immune to the tail paralyzation thing that helped them beat Raditz, which was something that Goku had problems with. That was one of the first couple books of the manga. They defined Goku's tail as a weakness. And he was able to overcome it in the manga. And then Nappa reveals that he and Vegeta train their tails. They don't get hurt by it. He gets elbowed. And I remember Piccolo getting elbowed by Nappa, and he puts on this funny face because he just got nails. But you can just tell how much pain Piccolo was in. Then Piccolo sacrifices himself for Gohan and dies, and officially, in my opinion, that was the point that Piccolo turned full babyface when he sacrificed himself for Gohan. And it was kind of a shitty move, because if Gohan died, they could have just wished everybody back with Dragon Balls. Piccolo sacrifices himself. Gohan freaks out, rage boosts, kicks Nappa's ass for a minute. I think I remember, at least in the anime, he does some damage. I remember Krillin using the Kienzan for the very first time, or Destructo Disc, in this fight. And this is what I was saying before, that this whole fight, you felt like if they just hit the right move, if Krillin had hit the Destructo Disc earlier, or the Kienzan earlier, he could have won. If they had worked together, if Krillin had talked to everybody about he got this new move where he can make a sharp disc-like energy attack that can cut through opponents much more powerful than he is, and if they can get Nappa, one of them, to hit, he could have cut Nappa's head off, because it does cut Nappa's cheek, and he was going to take it head on if it wasn't for Vegeta, which was really cool, seeing Vegeta tell Nappa to, dodge, you fucking idiot. It's much more powerful than you realize, because Vegeta's probably seen an attack like that before, is my opinion. Piccolo's probably, Vegeta's just a better fighter than Nappa, and he's the brains of the operation and the power. But Nappa's a tank, and he kicks their ass. Krillin, the survivor, Goku's best friend, the fact they let Krillin survive this whole fight. I mean, as a kid, I was a big fan of Tien and Piccolo, and I was kind of frustrated that in the Namek arc, at least the beginning of it, there's no Piccolo and there's no Tien because they're on North Kai's planet. I always imagined what would happen if Tien survived instead of Krillin. But as an adult, I recognize how cool it was that that Krillin survived that fight. I mean, he's much more powerful than people give him credit for, and much more strategic. And so Krillin and Gohan survive. Goku finally shows up. That's essentially the end of that group fight. But it's a fantastic fight. Go back and rewatch it. Nappa is such an unappreciated villain. He was a pure antagonist, heel wrestler. I mean, it's great. It's fantastic. He lets everybody get their shit in. Yamcha died to really put tension in the beginning of this fight, and it was out of nowhere, showing you that people are going to die in this fight. This was a bloody fight. We didn't know that there was going to be Namekian Dragon Balls yet that are going to bring everybody back 100 times over. We thought that Chaozu was dead, and then Krillin could be dead forever if he died. There was so much tension in this fight, and this was just to build up this fight built up how powerful just Vegeta and Ruthless Vegeta was when he kills Nappa later. I couldn't change really anything in this fight. I wouldn't change anything in this fight. It's the best group fight in Dragon Ball, in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. My Mr. Morphetto, comment, like, tell me what's your favorite group fight in all of Dragon Ball. See you later.